for the City of Pflugerville Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Thursday, August 17th. It is 7:02 p.m. Citizens communication. The commission welcomes comment on parks and recreation items. Public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action, discussion, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Do we have anybody here who would like to speak? Scott? No? Okay. All right. Moving on to item 3A, approval of the minutes. Discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on June 15th, 2023. There is a printout here. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
Yep.
As a reminder, we were not here for the July one, so that's why we have the June.
I move that we approve them.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Carol. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Stan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 4A, discuss only. Discussion regarding director's update, including information about project status updates, upcoming special events, and staffing. Shay?
Well, it took me that long just to get the PowerPoint open, so thanks for, who was the motion in the second?
Carol and Stan.
All right, thank y'all. So, good evening, everyone. How are y'all?
Hot.
Definitely hot. So, and as a part of our regular monthly director's report, we went to council last month during Parks and Rec month and gave them a update about our department. So I thought I would run y'all through that as well. Almost everything you'll know on there. I just thought that it would be great for y'all to see what we tell to the city council as well. So who we are, we're a department of 45 full-time, 18 part-time, year-round, and 100 seasonal staff, providing quality of life to the Pflugerville community. We manage park operations and maintenance, recreation programs and special events, facility and lake management, rentals, permits, events, and field allocation, park safety. What we offer, we have over 1,600 acres of park system with our parks, green belts, open space, that's both developed and undeveloped parkland. We have over 56 miles of trails, in fact, and it's a moving target, but we're a little over 57 now. 33 acres of ball fields, 34 developed parks, 30 playgrounds. Rec center that we're in right now, and programming, citywide special events, our pavilions, gazebos, rentable spaces, a skate park, 2 dog parks. Not enough, I'm sure.
Too tiny.
3 outdoor pools, 2 splash pads, and a 180-acre lake. That's a water reservoir for the city. In the last fiscal year, so I obviously see y'all every month, but I only see council at times when I'm presenting or requesting something. But the cool thing is once a year we get to come and do our department report. So since I'd spoken to them in this capacity previously, we have replaced 6 shade structures, 6 playgrounds, 7 shade structures. We completed our new park signage, so every park should have that stone masonry signage that you see. The outdoor fitness court, which is the photo you see here, it's right on the edge of Gillen Creek Park, right off Railroad. Master plan, which we are hopefully get approval to go to planning and zoning on Monday from y'all tonight. Recreation center program design for the new rec center, which y'all had a couple whacks at the apple in that process. The basketball court replacement last January that we did a new citywide special event, Slice of Pflugerville. The special event permitting process that we created so we could approve and permit outside agencies to do events in our city limits, and then the West Point soccer improvements, which I think are almost done. If not, I'm looking for junior, are completely done. Yeah, because they're playing on them now, right? Yeah. So what we're working on, this is, if you don't know Brandon didn't know I was going to put his face on a photo originally, and didn't know I was going to show it to council. That was a definite shock to him. But Brandon's the director of utilities. He's my colleague in the city, and we are going to be working together on the old historic water tower and the Old Town Park that's across from the water tower. We're gonna be doing something where we highlight and do some education and some park improvements on that side of the property where you can maybe walk and sit under it and see like some decking or some seating. And then we're also gonna be improving Old Town Park as well and trying to make it some sort of historic water tower theme if we can. So I told them they should just put our freaking photos on the thing, and this is what I
That's pretty
submitted.
historic.
Yeah, absolutely. Water park is what we're going to call it. So then we have our Trail Capital Texas program, which we submitted to council last council meeting, and they are in approval of us continuing to pursue that. And I'll highlight that a little bit more. The Stonehill multi-court and public art. So we did the Stonehill dog park improvements, which was lighting and some shade. And this is phase 2 where we're going to be putting a multi-court out at the park as well, and then some public art on it. The Gillen Creek Pavilion, in this fiscal cycle, we went to them and had a study done that showed that there were some, it's in great shape for its age, but there are some structural issues that we should look to address, so we're gonna be addressing that.
Is that the big one next to the pool?
Yes, sir. The Game Time Matching Grant, which Kelsey really took the lead on and worked with Game Time, which is a playground manufacturer, to get matching grants for the Gillen Creek Park replacement. So ultimately, there's going to be a new fitness court at Gillen Creek Park. The pool is being renovated as we speak and almost complete. The pavilion will be renovated through the fact that there's some structural issues we need to update, and then that park will get a renovation as well. So Gillen Creek's getting a complete facelift. Play amenities along the trail system, which are really cool, and then Cambridge Heights, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well, but we're gonna do a playground replacement and like an NFL Play 60 playground. A playground at the south side of the lake through the development that's happening at the south side of the lake, off Luger Parkway. With that development ultimately, because it was asked at council, so I'm sure that's something y'all might be considering as well, but how are they gonna cross that street? But ultimately that development over there is working on a pedestrian bridge that'll take people across Luger Parkway. And our playground will be right where they land, which is great because shoppers and everybody else can come across, play for a little bit, get a break, enjoy, do what we do best, right? Provide that quality of life functioning for non-residents who might be shopping in that area. Then they can go back across, continue shopping, hop in their cars or go, whatever. PCDC grant, which we just got approved by council last council meeting and by PCDC last night. So they are donating $150,000 to replace Royal Point Park. And they actually did $100,000 for shade as well. Highlight that a little bit more. And then Heritage Park is up next as well. Heritage Park, obviously a beloved park. And with bowls being renovated, the museum house being repainted, Green Red Barn getting renovated, and last year Mincer got a lot of replacements due to the storm. Heritage Park's next on that list as well, so that park's gonna see almost a complete facelift as well. Projects we work with, CIP Engineering, Desmond over there is our rep for CIP Engineering, and he's our contact over there. They have taken the lead, and I said at the council meeting, and I'll say it here as well, we're a department that's really beholden to a lot of other departments for its success, so you know, we're not necessarily the enforcement arm of any ordinances that affect parks, so we need police to come out and help enforce rules, whatever that would be, glass bottle, alcohol bottle, or, you know, sound decibels or whatever. We have park rangers that help with some of the education, but, you know, we rely on police, we rely on communications on a lot of things, right? We have them here tonight, we have them helping us with, all of our postings and our news releases. We have CIP helping us with projects. Planning helps us with all of our parkland dedication. IT helps me eventually get, you know, PowerPoints up and running. So we really rely on all the departments. So in this one in particular, this is CIP Engineering. 4 new parks through the 2020 bond program. Trail gaps improvements, 1849 Park Phase 2, and those American Recovery Act funds that are going to help close out Phase 1. Which is extra parking, extra lighting that we didn't get in Phase 1 of 1849 Park. Gillen Creek Bathhouse, in the new entrance at Gillen Creek Bathhouse. The Green Red Barn renovations, which are complete. Farmers Market's already moved in there. We're working. Y'all approved a non-resident increase for that will go into the budgetary process. Council's seeing that right now, and that fee will be approved hopefully through the budget process, and then October 1st we'll be able to start renting that out. And then Bulls House Renovations, which is where about 8 of our staff will house for the foreseeable future until the city hall opens, and then some of us will move over there as well. Annual visits to our park system. We picked 2 of the bigger parks that I think obviously y'all have been interested in. We probably could have tried to fit Pfluger on here as well, but Lake Pflugerville is our highest attended park in our park system. You can see from fiscal year 2019 all the way through to what we're at right now. We're on pace for over 250,000 annual visits just from that park alone. 1849, you can see the growth in 1849 Park and the impact it's had on the community. And then the park system itself has continued to increase as well. You can see all the COVID year impact as well and all that.
And remind us how that's tracked.
Yeah, great question. So there is a company called Placer. Placer works with web applications, phone applications. So when you get your phone and you join Strava and you're going to start walking your laps, Strava says, "Do you mind if we use your, use your location for other things?" They pay for that. We can't see on our side where you actually live. We can't see on our side where you work, for example. It's within a 1/4-mile circle is all they can see, so we can kind of tell what subdivision you're coming from. But for us specifically, so the cities uses Placer, and I think GIS is kind of leads that because they're the team that really puts all the maps and all the stuff in it. I think planning and development and PCDC and some of those use it for forecasting as well. For us, we like to see who's at events, who's at parks. What is our impact in some of these areas? Placer captures a dot in a park if it's there for 7 minutes. So like someone could say, Lake Pflugerville, that's just people driving along Weiss. But they would have to be in the geofence location that GIS put. So it's first of all not the road, it's off the road into the park. And then they have to be in that park for 7 minutes. So you can feel comfortable knowing that even though we're on pace to hit over 1 million annual visits, that doesn't capture a lot of our trail system, because a lot of our trail system, you're not in one specific park for less than 7 minutes. And we don't have a great way yet to do that, and neither does Placer. They're working on it. I think that's something that other cities are asking for. We were one of the first cities in Texas to do this, but we actually had I led a work session or whatever over Zoom for NRPA, so our national office, because there was 4 or 5 other cities that were looking to get into Placer, and I think it's going to grow. I think more and more cities are going to use it. A lot of development corporations use it to figure out where's the next spot that they should be looking at to develop and to support. There's actually some modes of transportation. If you geofence the street right, you could capture transportation traffic, because we can even see from like a 4th of July event where cars traveled to and from. So we can take that report and show it to the police and say, here are going to be the areas that are going to be congested after this event based off last 2-year event. So it's some really cool data you can mine. I'm not great at it. GIS has been great to give me like the easy buttons where I can go to a couple things and pull up some stuff that shows our impact and how much people are using our park system, which is what I really like to have for numbers when I'm talking to council. Because previously to something like this, if you asked me how much a playground was used, I mean, I'm walking up to the playground and knowing the playground, we rake the mulch once a week, and the area in front of the slide looks like it's been heavily impacted, lightly impacted, or not impacted at all. And that's kind of what we could go off of. So this has been great for us to show the impact of our park system. And it goes back. So even though we didn't pay into the system until 2019, it actually goes back to 2017. The numbers are there. So if I needed to, I could have given you more data. We can go all the way back to 2017, which is really cool.
So realistically, our actual numbers are a lot higher.
They are, yeah. And we would have to, like I said, Placer's trying to figure that out, because that's a widget they have to work on. We could get some of those trail counters. That would be fairly accurate, and that's probably the way most people would capture it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The fact that our trails get heavily used, and we're the trail capital of Texas, you could easily say we were probably over 1 million annual visits even in 2019, for example. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would love for them to find that data somehow to really zoom that in, because the only way you do it right now is you have a 10-foot trail. And we got 57 miles of that, and they could potentially geofence 1 foot on one side, 1 foot on the other, and just follow it all the way across. But man, that would be GIS would need like a year to map something like that, I'm afraid. So awards and grants over the last year. So we won a regional award for our conservation. We won a regional award for our marketing. We won a state award for our marketing promotion excellence, specifically what we had done with the master plan with Barry Dunn and their subs. We won the Governor's Community Achievement Award, which I'll talk about a little bit more, but that is an award from TxDOT. And so it was a class population award, so we won class 8. That was from the Keep Texas Beautiful TxDOT program, and came with, as you can see below in the grants, came with a $275,000 grant to improve a TxDOT roadway in the city limits, which is really great. We also, our communications team took some of the marketing that we had worked with on them for the master plan and took it to their state conference, what they call TAMIO. I could make that up. I don't know, Texas Association of Municipal Information. I should have known what the I was. They took that to their state organization and won the award of excellence for the marketing plan under 100,000 and the best use of social media for the 2 cameos that we had. So our master plan, which y'all are going to get to talk about with Barry Dunmore tonight, it's already won 4 or 5 awards, and we haven't even adopted the thing yet. So we're very proud of it. The grants that we were talking about earlier, we have those 3 matching grants, and then PCDC did 100,000 for the 2 shade sites, and then 150,000 last night for the Royal Point Park. So that's really 250,000 from PCDC this year, 275,000 from TxDOT and a matching, which is probably up to 300,000, maybe even a little bit more. You think, Kelsey? So I mean, probably it's just a shade under $1 million in grant dollars this year. So
Nice.
staff's been working really hard to improve the system. Other stats, I'm always telling council, I can't measure smiles for them. I'd love to. If there was an app that I could do that, we would be really good. I also know, not just in my heart of hearts, not just as a professional, but I know from data that people that interact with a park, even if they just drive by it on their commute to work or back from, see an improvement in their mental well-being, right? And actually getting out and engaging it. But none of those things can be tracked, right? So I always try to find some stats that are unique that can be tracked, that shows them what we're doing. So we had 16,000, almost 17,000 square feet of shade added or replaced in our park system to 14 new shade canopies this year. 6 new playgrounds, lowering the age of our playground equipment by 33%. Of those 6 playgrounds that we saw playground replacements, one of them, Geneva's Park, saw a 29% increase in our place of data from before we had done the improvement to after. Every one of the 6 saw an improvement. I was asked at the council meeting, were the other ones to this level, and they weren't. It also shows that Geneva's Park, which is our northernest park, had probably felt a little bit like they had been forgotten. And then not only did we replace a playground piece with y'all's support, we replaced and added shade, we added a loop trail, and we added a pavilion piece. And so they didn't just get a playground replacement, they got a brand new park. And you can see it in their attendance that the community has really appreciated it. That trailer that we created, it traveled 146 miles inside the city limits, engaging the community, making sure that everyone had a voice in that master plan process. That was part of the success of the 30,000 touch points. JR and Adrian are here tonight to talk about the master plan. Nikki's been here previously. Jason's been here previously as well. No one in the country has touched that number. Not a city double our size. There are cities triple our size that are very happy with a very small public engagement. It has been an industry-leading public engagement, and people are continuing to rob it, steal it, do their own version of it. There's a well-renowned speaker who's a good friend of mine in the industry. He's TED Talked, and he's worked with NCAA, and Indiana Pacers brought him out to do some public engagement recently at one of their season ticket days. So it's all the season tickets. And he did a board that says the Pacers matter because, or something, basically like parks matter because, and he had sticky notes instead of chalk, and you could write. And so he did the exact same wall. He runs a consulting firm as well, and so not only are clients that Barry done are trying their own version of some of the stuff we've done, but other consulting firms have seen the success and are stealing it as well, which is really cool. Our rec center steering committee, which is that group you see there for the most part, I think there was a couple missing out of that photo. They went and did tours. Y'all did a tour as well. Y'all went and did the DOS Rec tour, which is Kelsey's baby. And some of them did the DOS Rec tour, but they also did some other facilities, and they toured over 673,000 square feet. I said miles to council. That would have been a lot, but they definitely did a lot of walking around when they reviewed these facilities. Those Pflugerville culture shirts that we had done in December, not the ones that we have most recently done, but just the ones we ordered 420 and 352 were purchased. And so that's 352 new shirts that are walking around promoting Pflugerville, as something that people identify with, which we're super proud of. And then the Bite Passport program that we did for our first Slice event, that was you pay $10 and you get to go, and it sold out in 56 minutes. So we can't necessarily measure smiles or show our impact in some ways that we would love to be able to show you that we believe we're having in some of these other aspects, but I think these stats show that we're definitely having an impact on the community. So that was the council update, and then we'll roll into my director's report. These are our rec programs that we have coming up. The Kamal River Tuning, that's one of our adult programs, because we've been asked and encouraged to get more adult programming going on. So the adults are going to go to the Kamal River. We've got our Rocket Day. You want to see some of your old rockets blow up in that process?
very
I don't know if
nice.
they'll use any of those. We got our Dungeons and Dragons Club, Yoga in the Park, Mario Kart, which you can see to the left. I love seeing the kids play Mario Kart. I think it's great when you see a dad or a mom drop the kids off of Mario Kart, and then they're like, well, I remember when I used to play Mario Kart, and then they end up playing. Sometimes they get dusted by these kids, but it's fun to see them play. And then we have board game night. The Cardboard Regatta is coming up, which we're super excited about. That's been a very popular event. And then our Smash Brothers tournament as well. Summer wrap up. We have our summer fun camp totals and our swim lesson totals and the impact we had in the community. We're super proud of that. When you think of those 100, mostly high school students, and when I got into this field 19 years ago, those were college students, And now they're not only high school students, we got kids getting dropped off to work here. We got 15-year-olds getting dropped off to work here. And so it's a different group of people that you're managing. And, people talk terrible about every generation coming up, but these kids, and I feel old enough I can call them kids, these youth worked every day. And what we were just talking about earlier before we started this chat, one of the hottest summers on record. Mm-hmm. And I can't think of one complaint that I got from a parent on something that happened in the process, in a field trip or, and we obviously don't want to lose anybody and we don't want any of those things that everyone's worried about, but I can't even think of a parent calling and escalating something small. Like these guys and their team did a great job. September is Pollinator month. So, excuse me, it's been organized by NRPA, that's our national association, to raise awareness. The kickoff is September 2nd. It's 8 to 10 a.m. You now know as much as I know. But if you have more questions, I'm sure Junior or Jonathan can answer.
Absolutely.
No, perfect. I was just reading. I couldn't have told you anything else about it but that. And then senior programs, our senior programs are going strong. We have a really good group of folks that have been pretty active. You can see the programs and the trips that we have scheduled this month. I think this is our last music in the park. One more after this. Okay, so we've got our second last music of the park. Looks like it's the Nova Band, and you've got the Donut Group that won one of the awards at Slice will be there. So fan favorite there in Kona Ice. Keep everybody cool. Trail Capital of Texas. So Barry Dunn will talk about it a little bit, but through our benchmarking of our master plan, it became very obvious to us, and we've talked about this with y'all as well, that we have as much trails as anyone in the state. And the quality of life component I used, and I've used for a while, is 2,000 residents for every 1 mile of trail. And the goal is to have them 1 mile for every 2,000 residents. Our numbers are over that. Our numbers are right at 1.5, 1.49, 1.5 for our 56 miles that are in the city limits. And like I said, it's a moving target. Every time we add more development, that trail system's going up. But then the ETJ, which a lot of folks, we have to admit, there's a lot of folks that are in the ETJ that don't even know they're in the ETJ, right? Those trails are trails they walk every day as well. If you factor those in, it's close to 70 something miles, and that puts us at almost 2 miles for every 2,000 residents. So we really have a trail system for others to be very envious of. From my PowerPoint presentation, the mayor was highlighting that he, I think, was giving the mayor of Round Rock a hard time because they only had 20 miles of trail. So some bragging rights there on Round Rock. And so one of the things came out is that we should really go after the idea of calling ourselves Trail Capital Texas, and what are the next steps of that. So Kyle did the Pie Capital of Texas, and we followed their process. One, you tell council, so we had a lunch and learn with council, and then we started to do some trail initiatives. If you see the walk with the mayor, walk with council, that you've walked with city leadership, that's one of the things where we're starting to highlight that we have a strong trail program. We have something that proves it in our paper process. We're going to be papering that up. We went to council for a resolution. They approved that at the last meeting. So we've been following the steps that Kyle is doing. So the next step Kyle did was they went to the U.S. Trademark Office. So we're going to be working with legal to trademark Trail Capital of Texas. Once we have that trademark, we'll need the legislative session to open back up, but we'll work with the Texas House and the reps locally for the Texas House and the Texas Senate. And I can't remember who those are right now, but it doesn't matter because I don't know if they'll be those people in a year and a half, 2 years. But anyways, we will work with the local Texas House rep and the Texas Senate rep to have resolutions passed through those two bodies. And once we get those approved, we'll take it to the governor to have him sign it.
Awesome.
And then if all that happens the way we're hoping, we'll be able, and we could do it right now. We feel quite confident through our benchmarking and through our stuff. No one's going to take that. And we do plan to bring in a near future a couple of logos for y'all to maybe to review at some level. But right now our next step is to go after the U.S. trademark and just make sure we can lock that down. Other park improvements. Withridge Park was completed. Kelsey, was it this week? Withridge Park was completed this week. Hanging Rock, if it's not completed by the end of this week, I think middle of next week or something. Hanging Rock was, both of those started essentially the same time. Gillen Creek Fitness Court, as I said earlier, was completed a couple weeks ago, and that was with a grant from PCDC.
I've seen people out there
Yeah, I have too.
many times as I drive by.
In fact, Junior mentioned we should get a bike rack out there because people are riding their bike out, but then they're just leaning against the shade post. So we're
That's a
probably
good
going to
idea.
pursue that as well.
I've been to the pool a couple times, but it was 105 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, that looks interesting.
It's interesting. The Gillen Creek Fitness Court, they have a shade option, nationwide shade option. So when you buy their fitness court, you buy their shade, and you know me, I've got to be different. I was like, I don't want their shade. Their shade was this sail shade. It was this geometric shapes, and it kind of allowed some sun to get in a couple ways. And I just talked to staff, and I was like, I don't want to do that shade. I want to do a different shade. And so we went with one of our shade manufacturers, and they put this shade over, and it's almost completely shaded
Yeah, it's
all the
nice.
time. And someone from Kerrville heard about it. They're putting in one of those because we sent photos to the national office. National office had never seen that much shade on one of their courts before. They said it was amazing. And then they told Kerrville about us, and Kerrville has reached out to us and wants to come out and do a tour, their director and assistant director, to see what it looks like in person as well. And so, we got people stealing that stuff from us. Lisa, it's kind of insane.
Stealing everything.
But that's gone really good so far. I think there's a couple improvements like the bike rack that we're going to be working on as well. But we will ribbon cut it when we ribbon cut the improvements to the pool. So we're just going to do it all at once. Stonehill Park, like I said, we did some lights. So we have lights out there at night now for the dog park. And we did some shade for the dog owners to be able to sit and have a little bit of reprieve. There's a picnic table on both the smaller paddock and the bigger paddock where dog owners can sit in a little bit of shade. Wells Point, we did some ball field improvements on one half of the park, and they look amazing. It makes the other side look even.
Less amazing.
Yeah. So we'll be working on that next. But the season started. All the teams are allocated, so we'll go another year and see if we can do that next off season. One of the things that we saw from the master plan, we did an aquatic study. There was a surge tank recommended once, and I think I brought this to y'all as well, but once the guts of Gillen Creek was opened up, we were like, well, let's get the surge tank in there as well. Surge tank is a utility device that when too much surge goes into the water system, it captures it and allows it to go through the propeller system at a rate that propeller system can handle. It's been popping our propellers. We had spent about $8,000 over 3 or 4 years with replacing parts that had been busted from not having a surge tank. And so one of their things was, hey, a system like this with as many kids jumping in and out, and they're coming over, the water goes over the weirs and goes into the surge system, and it just regulates all that.
So would that help with like what I think it was like runoff from the pool that was then like eroding the.
No,
That's something else.
because of how many folks get into that
Yeah.
pool or splashing around with it, you will see some runoff going off the concrete and onto
Yeah.
the thing. But we are putting river rocks up there to try to slow its impact on the slope. And then the shade program, we installed 13 shade this fiscal year. 13 new, 6 or 7 were new, and the other 6 or 7 was 1849. I think 5 had been there before, brand new, and the other 6 or 7 were replacements. Other things we're working on, so this is what I was talking about with that NFL Play 60. Now this one is in Glenville, Carolina, and obviously the Carolina Panthers funded it, so it's kind of themed for their thing. So ours would probably just be themed with the NFL Play 60, but that would probably that's going to be under the Game Time grants at Cambridge Heights. So Cambridge Heights is that part that we've done the Arbor Trail. It's that loop trail off Pfluger. Is that Pfluger? Pfluger Parkway, yeah. And so we're going to replace that playground, but then in the loop area, so inside that grassy area, that loop area, we're wanting to do some sort of play amenity off the NFL Play 60 where kids can go out and challenge themselves to this Ninja Warrior style course.
Is there gonna be any shade over that or no?
That's a great question. I don't know if we talked about it, although we like to shade everything. That's been our goal.
Yeah.
We've got 30 playgrounds, 25 have shade. PCDC approved 2 more, so we'll have 26 and 27 shaded. I don't know how many playgrounds in Texas, how many park systems in Texas have 100% shade, 100% coverage of their shade, but we're getting really close. So we look to cover shade. Not only does it provide a UV break and a health, a health improvement for anyone that's playing on those apparatuses, but it also extends the life of those apparatuses.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if we can put shade out there, we'll do everything we can to do that. I honestly have never seen one with it, but that's never stopped us before. So I think it'd be just trying to figure out that footprint.
We did challenge the designers to add shade and see what that would look
See,
like.
look at Kelsey.
Good.
She already
Blow
knew.
Shane's mind already.
Already knew.
I'm not sure that that's good.
We're not here to do possible things. We're here to do impossible things. PCDC grant, like I said, those are the 2 that are taking us from 25 to 27, Black Locust and Pfluger Heights. They've been in the park system for about 5 years, and we're going to be putting shade over both of those. And then Royal Point, ironically enough, had shade recently. They had a tear, and we went in and found some funding to replace that shade, but it was over a 19-year-old playground. So we went to PCDC and said, hey, it's time we don't need shade. We need a playground. And they were great, and they approved it last night. I didn't even get through the presentation, and they approved it. So $250,000 from them. And then Heritage Park is up next as well. Goats. So you can see what a field looks like when you are crazy and you put goats out there and they go through and chew everything up. And we're thinking about being crazy. So we have reached out to a goat-scaping company in North Texas. And it's crazy to say. They've worked with cities. They've never worked with a city parks department, but they've worked with some cities where a developer, someone needed to clear some space, and so the city permitted it. So I think we're going to be the first municipality that's hired them, from what we can tell. But
Austin's been running him down.
Austin's, yeah, I think the Trail Conservancy's doing it for them or whatever. But yeah, so we're And I don't know if they're working with Haley, our gal at Goatscaping, but she's excited. I think I would have told y'all more about this. We're still trying to finalize some things, but we're shooting for middle of September. They're coming down middle of September for some other goatscaping opportunities. So we're trying to get in line with them and hit that as well. They tear through about an acre a day.
Wow.
So, and they
How
have,
many goats?
I don't know, a grip of them. I don't know. They put them behind fencing, shock fencing, and they have a goat herder on site 24/7. And he's got an on-call cell that I've been told he answers 24/7. So they're not left to their own devices. They're not managed by a goat herding animal like a dog or something. It's literally a goat herder. They're behind some fencing, and they just go out and rip all the poison ivy and all the other junk that everyone around here doesn't like anyways, and it kind of clears that canopy up. And so you can see the blue dots. We're going to try to go along our Gillen Creek system, see if we can get some spots. Junior picked some spots that were overgrown, but also didn't back up to homes. So somebody wasn't looking outside and seeing goats.
Oh, that'd be
You
cool.
can back them up to my
You're
house.
fine, yeah.
I have some poison ivy that I know
Yeah.
they would love.
And we honestly think it's a pretty good deal. It's going to be cheaper than we could ever pay someone to come out and do that with non-coats. So we're excited to see that the price point. We obviously want to try it out. We've also talked about potentially thinning out some of this area in the downtown east development as we're going to be needed to do some stuff there as well. So, and if it works really well along this corridor, I think we'll look to do some other areas. It's quite affordable compared to if I just contracted it out. So more to come on that. But if someone says, "Oh, you're with Parks and Rec, what are they doing with those goats?" At least you know something. One of y'all's previous questions was about Winter Storm Mara. Jonathan did a lot of this, but you can see the big number there of cubic yards of mulch. City didn't keep any of it. They spread it at Wilbarger Creek Waste Water Treatment Plant site. I don't know if y'all had a further follow-up question or you just want to know what we did with this, just kind of what happened. But Jonathan might be able to answer any more questions if you have. I'm just Vanna Whiting it. I'm reading this word for word. That was Jonathan and some of his team at Keep Texas Beautiful, where you can't see it, but that says pay to the order of Shane Mize for $270,000.
Nice.
No, I couldn't get him to do that. It says Pflugerville. But it does say $270,000, and we were able to set up and talk to the other attendees about what we did in our programming. If you've been out to the lake, you've seen some public art installations. Y'all have worked with Aaron to approve all these, so now it's just the install of all these. And this was actually from last month's meeting when we didn't have it. By now, I think we have all the art up. I think we have the art under the underpass. I think we have the art painted on the concrete at the lake as well, the inspirational sayings that y'all approved, plus these. So I think all the public art is out now. So she's working on phases 2 of that and looking at new applications, and I'm sure when she does something park related, she'll come back over. But popsicles are great. These are my photos, and so I've been out and I saw these two specifically. Oh no, I wasn't with the guy that did but I did take the popsicle one. But
There needs to be an ice cream truck right
ice
there.
cream truck. Yeah, that's where we need to put our food truck vendor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Free advertising. And then next Thursday, Stacy Dickey, who is a very seasoned, well-respected Park and Rec professional who led New Braunfels for 20 plus years. She just recently retired, but she started the Parks Foundation in Braunfels, and she's going to be coming out at 6 p.m. next Thursday night to talk to y'all about what that process was like, and probably give you the things to look out for and the things to consider. And we're super excited. Kelsey has worked under Stacy for a long time, and we're excited to have her out. Is she the only one presenting, or is Rick presenting as well?
I don't think she's heard back from Rick yet.
Okay.
but she's trying to go.
We're trying to get Round Rock's director as well, because he started his own, and we thought the perspective of both would be interesting, but we'll see if we can nail that down. And that's it.
All right. 4B, presentation and discussion regarding the Downtown East project update as it relates to the multi-generational recreation center and parkland. I cannot talk tonight.
Okay.
Just has stuff spread everywhere.
You just, you know.
I'm ready for anything.
That's right, that's right.
Thank you. Good evening. So I think maybe in May or June, you asked for an update on the Downtown East project. And so thought I'd walk you through a little bit of where we've been since January. This is a really sensitive mouse.
It is.
There we
Thank you
go.
for not
Oh.
being the only one.
Can I have the
Yeah.
keyboard?
Y'all see that?
Thanks.
Just wanted to point that out. It's all fun and games when it happens to Shane.
I think everyone's familiar with the Downtown East location. Okay. So I think important as we kind of move through this and what's top of our mind are the goals that City Council passed for us for this particular project. And specifically to parks, I highlighted them here in red, and really kind of the rec center and kind of our conversations that we had last fall, not only with you all, but also with the rec center steering committee, was that we keep these goals in mind as we move forward through the project, through every part of the project, not just the rec center, but the city hall, the mixed use development, and all of the areas that will engage in Downtown East. And so just keeping in mind that we are working to provide an area where community can engage with your government, and we're working towards throughout this whole process to engage with the public through design as well. Currently, we're going through a lot of the study of the land, so we've been working a lot with our master developer, who I'll talk about in just a minute, about gaining a lot of data. And so just today, we received approval for a site disturbance permit, which means we didn't have goats in time, but our wonderful parks crews are gonna clear some space, no trees, but some underbrush so that we can do some additional borings that helps us to see what the geography is below the ground so that we can ensure that any buildings we put on top of it, we know how stable they can be, and that adds to the architecture and the site development portion of that. So it's still a lot of data gathering is where we've been for the good part of this year, as well as working with our master developer. Here's some other of our goals. Family friendly, as you all know, Pflugerville is known for that, and that's really kind of the focus of a lot of our open spaces throughout Downtown East. You'll see that as we kind of move through the project. The rec center in bold, and y'all have done a lot of work on that, as did the steering committee, and that's really gonna be, I think, an exciting, really hallmark of this project overall. Promoting wellness, which you all do so well through the Parks and Rec Commission. Lots of pieces through that throughout the project, and to be environmentally sustainable. So those are just some of the highlights of the goals that I thought kind of related to the Parks and Rec Commission. Here's where we've been since we have acquired the land in December of 21. We've been working on building our project team, engaging the public, doing market analysis, lots and lots and lots of data gathering and concepts, and kind of moving those Lego pieces around. And right now we're in the midst of project design and permitting. And so still a lot of community engagement that we need to do, but as we are gathering those data pieces like the borings, the geotechs, the floodplain analysis, once we get all of that, we can provide a better concept to the public for you all to respond to, and as we move those pieces around. So right now, we're right kind of in that project design and permitting. You might have seen some of these. I know several of you participated in some of our engagement last summer regarding what we want to see in the Downtown East project, and these many related to just what Parks provides the community overall, and all the things that we're trying to make sure that we incorporate into the project. At the beginning of this year, and through last summer and last fall, we worked towards doing a public-private partnership. And so the city has partnered. We went out for an RFQ/P, which is a request for qualifications and proposal for a master developer. Through that process, we got some great proposals, and council selected in January Griffin, Swinnerton, and Catellus Griffin Swinnerton is a large firm done for construction. They're responsible for construction of our municipal components of the project. Where Catellus, that's a firm you might have heard of, that they were responsible for the development of Mueller and the redevelopment of that project. And they've done many other projects across the country. And so we think we've selected some great partners for this project. And we have been working with them since January. We entered into what's called an exclusive negotiating agreement, which allows us to work with them on the specific details, the funding, the preliminary concepts of this project through this first part of the year. We'll then go into what's called a preliminary development agreement, where we start to then refine that concept and the funding specifics to that as we kind of put those data gathering points into action. So this is kind of what this developer agreement progression kind of looks like as we go through this, what we call an E&A, exclusive negotiating agreement, to the pre-development agreement, to a firm development agreement and master ground lease, because the city will maintain ownership of the land overall. So not just for the rec center and city hall and this beautiful plaza space which we're working on, but part of the financing piece of this is that we will ground lease the property to a master development which controls the private development, which will be that mix of other engaging uses, retail, restaurant, potentially some residential in there as well. And so right now we're in phase one of that, kind of doing our site due diligence and research, and then we'll working through the design entitlements. Lots and lots and lots of pieces. Typically, cities are on kind of like the permitting side of development. We're not typically kind of the developer. And so it's really been a unique perspective to see that. I imagine, Lisa, you recall on like the planning and development side when you served on the commission. It's a very different perspective to see kind of what a developer kind of goes through in that. And so we're also trying to be very mindful of following our own processes and requirements. And so helps us to kind of check the boxes and make sure we're following all those expectations as well. I don't have for you tonight any advanced like concepts or things like that related to the rec center. What I will tell you is BRS has been an incredible firm. I know you all met with them. They now are under contract with our master developer. We selected them as our architect. And so that contract was then transferred to the master developer team because we were so pleased that with the work they did, they are continuing on through that design. What we've seen to date is they're trying to put all of those pieces, and I think y'all spent, I don't know, several hours with all of the postcards that laid out all of the programming pieces that you wanted for the rec center. And so what they're trying to do is make sure all of those pieces fit into that block, make it look beautiful and functional, and on the right location within downtown East. So it's really kind of coming to the forefront of where that will fit. Right now we're working on the floodplain pieces, where the floodplain goes through there, being mindful of our residents to the north and to the west, making sure there's green space involved, trail connections, the extension of Main Street, plaza space, and then all of the other amenities, retail, restaurants, all of the kind of fun things that will also drive people to downtown East, and then the city hall component. So it's a lot of puzzle pieces. We've referred to it a lot this week as a Rubik's Cube. So once you turn one, how does it affect the other pieces? And so that's kind of where we are with the project today. We are hoping this fall as we kind of get some more data to be able to set our next engagement event, which we're hoping to have this fall, and we should be releasing that date in the next couple of weeks, where we'll invite the public in to kind of look at some of those concepts. We'll be sure to share that with Shane so he can share that with all of you. And so that you can kind of come provide some additional feedback, see where we are with it. And as we get through kind of putting the internal program pieces, the pool, all of the, I think it's like 8 middle school courts, 4 high school courts, all of those pieces together in that rec center building, we'll invite BRS to come in and share that with all of you so you can kind of see how that's coming forward. But really, it's starting to get a little more exciting where we're seeing those puzzle pieces get refined. And early on, we were at a very 100,000 foot view. Will all of these things fit? We do know that they will fit, it's just how do they go together when we are looking at the floodplain, the trees, all of the other components that come to it. So these are still all the things that we're keeping in mind as we move forward through the project, and are happy to bring those back as we get through each additional phase of the project. Happy to answer questions that y'all might have. It's pretty
Awesome.
high level.
Thank y'all.
Good. We do have a Downtown East webpage, so we're kind of see the steps of that. It's our website / Downtown East for updates on the project.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay. Thanks for letting me use the keyboard.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to your team and you, of course, for all the stuff you're putting into this. I'm sitting here like a kid on Christmas Eve going, I want to see the president, I want to see the
I
president.
know, that is exactly how we feel too. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
What's the completion date?
We're ballparking the first quarter of 26. It's about an 18-month construction process for the 2 municipal facilities. That will not complete the whole site overall, but the 2 municipal facilities, that's our ballpark date. Ballpark, so I'm not gonna put that in writing, that's just kind of a ballpark of what our goal is.
You're being recorded.
Yeah, I am sure I probably have written it down too, but
You're
that's
talking
our
Major
goal.
League ballpark, not Little League.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right, Major League ballpark. Okay,
Awesome.
good, thank you.
All right. Are we
5A.
5A?
I'm gonna run to the restroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Discuss and consider action on providing recommendation regarding the 2023 Pflugerville Parks Recreation and Open Space Master Plan.
So we have Barry Dunn here, and before y'all, and hopefully y'all had a chance to see some of it in the packet as well. So I would just, oh, you're not gonna be able to move through there. You're gonna have to move through. Sure. Yeah, I think just hit the button. Yeah. Okay. Y'all have before you. So this master plan document is 218 pages, and a lot of it is. The master plan document is a 10-year document that shows that we engage the public, shows that we have some outcomes that we're working towards, and some of them, they give us a recommendation to work towards them, and some of them, they give us goals or objectives to start working towards. And they're going to be able to talk a lot about that. My desire was to have something that the public could consume in a much more palatable option. And so this is an executive summary, essentially, but it's a magazine-style executive summary. It'll be something that the public can download. It's not 218 pages. I think it's 24 pages or something, right? And it allows you to see some of the highlights of the plan. And, you know, if you want to dive deeper into this, whatever this is, for example,
Dog park.
dog parks, you'll be able to go into that 218-page document and see the research we did on dog parks, the recommendation that's coming off of the dog park. So there's a lot of information to consume. I know I got you this master plan last night. That was my fault. We have been working really hard to get this to a level that we felt really comfortable with, and we're still doing some updates. But like I said in the email, I wanted everyone to take some solace in the fact that my updates, their updates, Nikki, Jason, previous updates from Jason, I think he's been up twice himself, have explained a lot of this. So I wouldn't say you've seen 99% of it, but I think you've seen the concepts of a lot of it. We're just putting it in an actual form that later on we can lean into these things when we're making some decisions with council and the public, right? So right now, do you want to go through the magazine style?
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
I don't see any pictures of real dogs in here, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that
I
was
just
my
see
decision.
caricatures.
This is my decision.
I mean,
I was
I,
like, do not put any daggum
we
dogs
have
in
some
there.
good subjects, I'm just saying.
So the magazine style itself is just kind of an overview. You see the purpose of the plan, the engagement that it talks about, the vision for the future, a thriving community. There you go. You can see some of the stuff what we had, some of the stats that we pulled out about the master plan. If you have any questions about the magazine style format, there potentially could be other edits if there's something that y'all want to see. other than photos of dogs, I'm absolutely outlining photos of dogs. You can see us
It's a
talking
great
about
idea.
our public engagement. You can see us talking about our cameos, how we spotlight trends. We did that think tank. Gilbert, Arizona's recreated the think tank.
Yeah, they have.
And then I saw someone else do an esports think tank. It was just esports, and they were doing a think tank. So you're starting to see that being used by others in the industry as well. You can see Adrian has provided some concepts for a Trail Capital of Texas logo. We asked for some things conceptually that we could lean into later on. He provided a couple versions in the larger, and you can see one of those in the trail stats. You can see our number of programs for youth and adults. You can tell that we're heavily in our youth with our programming, something that they're pointing out that we need to continue to move forward with to try to create some more equity in that. But we need a new
It's kind of
facility to be able to
opposite,
host some of that
really.
too, right? Like, we only have one facility to be able to host some of this. So we know some of that is gonna be fixed with the new rec center. Anything you thought to highlight?
Yeah, I think you've hit it on the nail on the head, and that this is really designed to be digestible by the community. A 200-page master plan is an incredible resource. It's a great document for your community, and the staff is going to use it really well. If I'm an average resident of Pflugerville and I want to know what's going on in the master plan, I'm going to get lost in it. This is a way for the community to know that over the next 10 years, this is what this department is about. This is what this department is focusing on and why. The visual elements of this, I always like to highlight this when I talk to anyone. A visually appealing document makes the document easy and enjoyable to read. It increases accessibility to this document and this plan. And so this beautiful design, though we're incredibly grateful to Adrian and his wonderful work on it, there's a really practical reason for it, and it's because you wanted the community to understand it.
Yeah, I think page 11, for example, I think you're gonna have to go to like page 50 or 60 in the 218-page document to see the 4 main takeaways, which you can see pretty quickly here, which is we're gonna be doing some trails, some shade, some aquatics, and some fields and courts. Now, how that will shake out, surely we'll get more in depth in that document, but if you wanna know what the public said they wanted in their public engagement, that's pretty much what the public's saying we need. We need more trails, shading, aquatic programming, and field and courts, so, and, well, it didn't say dog parks, that's crazy. We'll redline that. But if y'all don't have any questions about the magazine style itself, we'll let JR and Adrian go over just their presentation in general of this plan and see if we have any questions. And then if we don't, we can work on a motion.
My only question is, are these all Pflugerville pictures, or are any of them just stock photos?
Some are stock, we're still working on seeing what we
Okay.
can do.
I just am very sensitive on
Sure.
that in this day and age where, someone says it's a picture of their
Adrian is
alma
too.
maters.
Adrian's preference would have all Pflugerville photos. There's some areas here that we don't have photos of people doing the things the stock photos are doing,
Yeah,
so
I
we're still
kind of
working on
looked
some
at
of
the
that.
pool and went, yeah, that's not what I'm, yeah, but it's on a page saying we want more
Sure.
aquatics.
Yeah.
Not saying we have,
Yep.
so, yeah. I understand that, I just found myself, I'm very aware of that.
No,
because of
absolutely.
certain
How much,
circumstances.
would you say less than 25% of stock at this point?
Yeah, I would say maybe closer to 40.
Okay, 40%?
I mean, it's kind of difficult just because,
I mean,
you need high quality professional resources in order
Yeah.
to create a document like this.
One of
I
the
do
things,
appreciate the recognizable Pflugerville places in
Yeah.
there, so.
one of the problems for us is when I'm doing an event or a program, or my staff is,
There's
Um,
no
yeah,
time to.
even if we did, it's an iPhone photo that we took to show the amount of people. And comms has usually got some photos there as well.
Yeah.
But they're also taking video and other stuff. And so, and then some of these shots, these candid shots where everyone's posing around, we don't have any of those necessarily. And
Right.
so, we exhausted our database, and we actually reached out to Jesse. I don't know if the folks here remember Jesse. Jesse used to work for communications here and is now working communications in Round Rock. And Barry Dunn even hired him on a one-off to have him take some more photos in the community that we didn't own, that maybe Jesse could get out, but it was late in the summer, and so a lot of sports aren't happening right now, and so, yeah, we know and we could continue to see these documents get updated with photos as we give them. That was definitely Adrian's goal. It was not Barry Dunn's fault that we didn't have them. It's our fault that we don't have the quality of the photos. So it's something we're working towards.
It is kind of fun to look at a community picture like this and say, can I?
Yeah.
Do I know anybody there?
Yeah. And the cool thing about, well, first of all, we've got a partnership with Barry Dunn that they don't just, unlike some master plan vendors, one of the things that was very appealing is they don't just drop this on our desk if this gets approved and they're gone. They're coming back for the first 5 years to help us with actionable items and follow up. Now, it won't be the same relationship we had with them like weekly, making it, but we'll be able to revisit some of this stuff. And so this may ultimately be the document that's out for the first 3 months or 6 months, but as we get more photos, it's updated and then we replace it. And so this document, what you see online, ultimately, some of the things we've continued talking about with the coloring book options, where we're wanting to do something where some of the CIP projects potentially could be broken into some sort of coloring book form so the kids can kind of get excited about stuff. We've actually talked about digital chapters where staff would maybe be interviewed by Barry Dunn's team, and so you can actually see what, because I can look at a master plan for what we inherited in 2011, and I can only read what we talked about. I don't know any of the background that's not in that document, but maybe we can do some interviews where we can talk about context and mindset that can live on as well. So what you're seeing today is the baseline, not only just of the magazine style, but the master plan. You're going to continue to see us roll this out in a very palatable way in a digital form, and then hopefully something that's, whether it's an activity guide or a coloring book that engages the youth as well. Gonna go over.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you. It's really exciting for us to be here tonight with you all. My name is J.R. Clanton. I'm a senior consultant with Barry Dunn. And with me is Adrian Newman.
Yeah, also senior consultant.
And this is our first time presenting to you all, but we've been really involved in this project. A lot of the work that you see in this master plan, we've had our hands on. I was heavily involved in the financial analysis component, but I was also in the community engagement and had some site visits here as well. And then Adrian, of course, has done all the designs.
Yeah, he's done all the designs from the get-go, all the layouts and this font and everything else that you saw over a year and a half ago. That was Adrian. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I got
You
it.
got it. Okay, good job.
So we've already started with the presentation today. Like Shane said a little bit earlier, you've seen a lot of us. We've been presenting, we've been involved with this process. We've come to this board and many city boards several times throughout. And so we're going to do our best to not spend too much time focusing on what you've already heard and rather focus on where we are, what's coming next, and the places we need your input.
That's Junior and I smiling like a year and a half ago when the plan had just started and we didn't know what we'd gotten ourselves into.
Yeah. So, again, you've seen the plan purpose several times. The key thing we want to focus on is 10 years, right? It's going to be 10 years of planning. And we've done our best to create a plan that's guided from community input, that's actionable, but that's also going to allow you the flexibility for the unexpected over the next 10 years. So, the community has had a ton of input in this process, including you all. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge some of the recent work that's been done by you and other city groups to really keep this plan moving along. You see the presentation, the Community Development Corporation on May 17th, Parks and Recreation Commission visioning exercises that you all went through on May 18th. We did the same type of exercise with the Parks and Recreation Department the same day. We've presented to City Council in May. And then just last month, or I guess it's 2 months ago now, we worked with you all to really set goals and vision, to do a visioning workshop as part of this project. And the outcomes of those are in this document. And I think like one of the key things we want to emphasize here is, thank you for participating in our visioning process. And the statements that you gave us and your input is in this document, including the dog parks we're going to X out evidently. So,
Blasphemy.
no, and again, and anyone who's participated in this project and who's participated in this process is going to see their touch in this plan because it's your plan. This was not cookie cutter. It's not off the shelf. I know you've heard us say it a million times, but this is your plan, and your input is here. There's a lot of thank yous to go around. And again, just want to make sure that we're acknowledging everyone. Here's some great shots from all the different community events that we did and the different types of outreach and engagement that we had. Shane talked about it, but you all have set a new bar for this industry. You've won multiple awards for it. Everyone's copying you. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and you all are getting imitated heavily. So, it's fun to work on a project like this, but the projects, and Adrian and I were just talking about this earlier today, the projects that are most successful are the ones that actually have staff that are involved and engaged. You can show up to a client and do a master plan for them, and some of them will hand you sort of a pad and paper and disappear, and they don't have their fingerprint on it. And do we do our best? Absolutely. But it won't be as successful as it will be when you have a staff that's as engaged as Pflugerville's was, that has a community and has boards and commissions that are as engaged as you all are. And that's why this plan has been as successful as it is.
We talk about stealing stuff. The placer data that we use, Barry Dunn now uses it in their evaluations of other clients.
Yeah, Placer's a big partnership that we have now, and utilizing that data is a big part of what we do. So thank you for turning us on to it.
Yeah, no problem.
So we have an acknowledgement list we want to go through. I want to thank everyone again. And again, you're going to see a lot of the people, you're seeing their marks on this plan. And so some of the things that, some of the comments that we're hearing from people, people really appreciated the efforts to include additional shade and trees, upgraded playground equipment and trash bins, pedestrian connectivity, use of open space for some new parks, and then shade and shade. And so, again, this is all feedback that we had heard from these different bodies, and they've made their way into the plan. And then, of course, the consultant team partners, we were the prime as Barry Dunn, but a lot of our success is also because of our partners, BRS, who is continuing the work on the rec center, ETC, who did the statistically valid survey, Hagrenus Consulting, who had a lot of influence on the engagement, and Hitchcock Design, which did a lot of the landscape architecture work. So we talked about it. There are two key plan documents. There's the master plan magazine, which we've talked about, and the full master plan, which Shane refused to let us go through page by page with you.
Right.
Thank you.
There's still time to overrule him, though. So,
Yeah, you have to print them.
no.
It's a sacrifice.
It kills the trees to put those.
But again, a lot of it is the audience, the internal versus the external. And it's not about secrecy, it's about accessibility. And the detail that's in the full master plan is incredibly useful to the department and is a living document, and it will influence the next 10 years of this department's life. This document will also be useful for different reasons. I want to highlight on both as you're reviewing them, these pink boxes that say draft. It's still very much, we're finishing it up, we're near complete, but there's still room for input. And if there's anything that's wrong or that draws your ire, let us know. And we can update it and change it. So just to go through some of the content of the plan, I know we've talked about it. So the purpose of the plan, when we talk to the community, what are the benefits of this department? It's these 6 items: the family activities, senior activities, adult activities, quality of life, healthy lifestyles, and improving mental health. Those are the key benefits of Parks and Recreation. Get ready to hear about it for the next 10 years, because that is what this community wants from Parks and Recreation. 78% of the residents are utilizing your facilities. That's awesome. Keep building on that number by making, by having stuff that appeals to them.
That's a high number in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a high number. So, and what I'll tell anyone who starts off high is you've never arrived, okay? Don't rest on your laurels, keep it going. You're expecting growth. The growth that's coming in doesn't necessarily come in with the identity of Pflugerville or with the knowledge of your all system. And so the challenge is to you all to keep that number high by continuing to appeal and reach them. As far as, so then we had engagement. Engagement was a huge component of this. It's important that the master plan acknowledge the engagement you all went through. It's award-winning. Your touch points are incredible. The creativity you all had in reaching the community is awesome. And the reason it's so important to highlight in the master plan, the reason it makes it into the executive summary is this is your credential, right? This is your authority. This is what you can tell the community when they ask, why is this plan valid? Why are we doing what we're doing? It's because we had this level of engagement that guided our decisions. And so that's why we wanted to highlight it. This chalkboard truck, Parks Matter, because it's just incredible. And to log 140 miles with that trailer, and it's just one type of component of the engagement you all went through. It was a comprehensive engagement strategy. These are the stats that matter, and this is how you can communicate to naysayers or to anyone who's curious about the validity of this plan, what it's based on. I think the other stat that I love that's not quite on here is the impression stat. The social media impressions when we were doing engagement, 150,000 plus. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Cameos.
They were shared all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of engagement or, Adrian, that you want to make sure we're highlighting when we're talking about all the creative things that we did?
I mean, there was just a lot of touch points and, a lot of really creative activities that we allowed, the people to comment on. And I think the most important part is I think a lot of master plans, they kind of let the people come to them for their engagement. Whereas with Pflugerville, it had a very strong footing and really met the people where they were. They hit the streets with their boots and had a lot of walking. So yeah, I think it was really impressive.
One thing we haven't included or even talked about much because we just heard about it is Texas Municipal League. So the City Managers State Association, right? So we've won awards at the state level. Communications have won awards at their state level. The City Managers Association, this was put up, and our engagement process was put up at their state level as well. And we received word that I think we've at least are qualified as a finalist for one of their state awards. And I think it's the first time, Terry says it's the first time we've ever had that award. So it's the first time we've ever been a finalist for the state award. And it's about the engagement process as well. I think they announced their awards at a luncheon or something, so I think it's more info to come later on. But yeah, it has been well received throughout Parks and Rec industry, communications industry, and even at the city manager's level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something to be proud of. You all should be so proud.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I want to make sure that we're also, sorry, thank you. So the circled thing there, trails, aquatics, shade, and fields and courts. The top themes that were developed based on the voices of the community that we captured. It's that. That's what the community told us that they wanted. Trails, aquatics, shade, fields, and court. And so, again, over the next 10 years, expect to be hearing about trails, aquatics, shade, fields, and courts. I think we also want to talk about the think tank and give Shane some credit, a lot of the credit here. It was an incredibly innovative idea, and it's something he really pushed us for, excellence throughout the planning effort, and to make sure that we were getting the best ideas for this community from both the community, but also from industry leaders. And so Shane made sure that industry leaders had their touch on this plan. And it was a cool idea. Again, imitation, form of flattery. You know, you have other parks and recreation agencies are now doing this.
I just know with plans, you get tunnel vision. You only think about what we're thinking about, what our consultants are telling us, what our city council might be thinking about, what even our public is asking about. And I think in a lot of ways that's well intentioned, but if we're all missing something and someone else knows about it, I just felt like if we could engage them. And we reached out to a lot of people that I knew in the industry that I knew that would be honest. They represented every time zone, both East Coast, West Coast. And you see assistant city managers, you see rec supervisors, you see directors, assistant directors. There was a consultant. I mean, you know, kudos to Barry Dunn. I brought a consultant from another firm in, kind of peeled back the curtain a little bit, you know, and they were game for all of it. And none of these things that you see circled were things that we had seen a lot through the public engagement. Nature, obviously, but not the way they were thinking of it. And then inclusion and mental health. We were like, man, you know, that wasn't something we were thinking of at all. It's not something that we saw a lot in our public engagement at all. And so, you know, it was just that thing to reconcile with what everything we were pulling to say, okay, there's still other things. And I wanted for all of us to be able to stand as blameless as we could in the presentation of this document, saying we had thought about everything, not just about what we thought we were thinking about, but what other people thought we should be thinking about as well. So that was the idea behind it.
No, absolutely. And those emerging trends, you know, again, expect to see those things focused on and developed. And sometimes with emerging trends that the public and community may not be as aware of, or in a lot of cases have defined, that falls on staff to also be the ones who are pushing and emphasizing both the education as well as the programmatic components of those.
Yeah.
So Shane talked about this a bit, but we wanted to keep talking about it, which was the trail capital of Texas, the new trademark that you all are pursuing, and well deserved. Again, 56 miles, the 1.5. Shane, please let us round it up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
The 1.5 miles of trails per 2,000 residents, and then the access to the trails, just such an incredible resource. And so to that end, as part of the process, Adrian, do you want to talk more about this, please?
Sure. You know, conceptual branding for the trail capital of Texas has been in the city's planning efforts for a while, and it's really important just to have an iconic representation of, you know, what that means for the city of Pflugerville and the rest of Texas. You know, really stamping, putting a stamp on the market and really claiming that as a value for the city. You know, connecting with nature has always been a strong pursuit of, you know, priorities across the nation, especially in Pflugerville. So it's great to have, you know, a very iconic representation of what it means to be the trail capital of Texas. And so here's just a couple of iterations that we're working on, obviously developing that further into the future, so that way we can have a much larger scale brand component throughout the city of Pflugerville.
Is the word of omitted on purpose? Because I noticed in other things, the word of was on there.
I'm glad you asked, because I thought I'd seen it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be.
because,
Well, and to their credit, we've been calling it Trail Capital of Texas, but it was approved at the last council meeting as Trail Capital of Texas. So that's
Oh,
just something
okay.
that change wouldn't. And these logos, what we asked is to get some conceptual logos into this.
Right.
So we could ponder, we could talk about it, because we're obviously not, we haven't trademarked it yet, we're not there yet. So we just wanted some launching off points, some talking points where people could, whatever, the logo may be one of these, or it may look like an iteration of this. And when people look at this plan, they'll be like, oh, that's where they got, that's where it started. That was the genesis of whatever it was. This is, I can see how we got to where we're at. So, yeah, there are still things to be discussed back and forth, but just the badging itself, we talked about something that kind of had a little bit more like a seal, which you see at the bottom, and then something that, yeah, a couple things that kind of, one that would be more map, almost like an app icon, because it's funny. I mean, when I look at national park signs, you know, it's those little stick figures that are hiking or whatever, and I connect with that. But someone that's a youth, someone that's 12 or 13, 14 years old, when they think of a map, they're going to think of what it looks like on their iPhone, right? And that map widget or that app icon is going to be. So we wanted something that's kind of like app icon-y, that's the top. We wanted something that was like a seal, and then this is sort of some sort of badging in the middle. So,
And that's
Yeah, it
funny 'cause
represents a compass.
when
Yeah.
I see the top, I think of a paper map.
Uh-huh.
yeah, well, but the actual maps, the app icons look like that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's why I think
yeah,
it's interesting
yeah.
because you're talking about that. But to me, I'm like, still have maps like that in my truck. So
No, you don't.
I'll show you
You haven't put them under the
on the
doggy
side.
thing yet?
Yeah,
The doggy. Cool.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we're just getting some concepts here for everyone to discuss and just start to visualize what this will look like for us, what we're thinking about.
Yeah, and again, remember the pink draft
Yeah.
icon.
It's missing from me.
I know.
He's like,
I'm gonna
Make
get in
that
trouble
girl
for
shut
that.
Well, it wasn't even in the thing. It was
I
just
know.
a pull out.
So now we get kind of to the meat of the plan. And so as you're reading through your document, you'll see the goals, the themes, and what this department is going to be focusing on. So the first one's a healthier community through diverse recreation activities. And then you'll see a list there of broad ways to accomplish the goal, and then ways to accomplish this vision. And then, a really telling stat, talking about showing your population distribution and then comparing it to distribution of programming. Which is, this is not, don't get a complex, this is not unique for Pflugerville. I mean, it's also, this will always be the demographic you all serve, but across the country, the industry is asking itself, how do we get, other generations and other ages more involved?
Sure.
The next one is increase equitable access to services. And I think, when we think about equity, equitable access, it's important to think about all the different types of access impediments, right? Physical, ADA, the types of stuff you're offering, as well as inclusion type services and belonging. So just don't ever focus on just one of those when we're talking equitable access. Build the foundations for success. And so this is really kind of a good, for a 10-year plan, especially with one of life this long, this is about how do you actually plan that far out in, in some of the longer range stuff. And then if everything is achieved in this master plan, what are some of the outcomes that we want to achieve? And so these are broad-based outcomes around for the whole document, right? And really having a thriving community. And then there's the resources that support the actionable planning.
Is that the?
No, sorry,
Oh.
I was trying to
Yeah,
not
it's-
spin too fast for
It's
one.
got a tricky trigger finger.
So I know I went through a lot. I know that there's details and things you might have questions on or comments about, things you want to hear more about, and certainly we're all here to talk about it. This is also not the only bite at the apple that you get. You know, this document is a work in process. It's living. You have access to Shane. You have access to us. So we're always happy to follow up with you. So hopefully after your review tonight, there's a presentation. I believe it's on, is it Monday?
Yeah, we go to planning and zoning. Y'all will make a recommendation tonight, hopefully, that y'all are in support of this. It'll go to planning and zoning. And then it goes to council for the second Tuesday in September, and then the fourth Tuesday in September. So both meetings, it'll be a public hearing. So, there'll be 2 opportunities for people to hear about it, speak about it, pose any concerns or questions. And then it'll be adopted, and it will supersede and replace anything that's currently in the ordinance.
Is that twice, because it's discuss and then discuss and consider?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. And you had a chance to obviously look at the document that was in your hand, but you also have a chance to ask any questions about the master plan overall. And we'll try to answer any of those that y'all have at this time.
Looks great.
Yeah, looks really good. And
Oh, I did have a question. How are these getting out to the public? once
So
they're done?
we're gonna hand these out to planning and zoning as well, then we're gonna hand them to council, and once all that's approved, we will, if we have
I
any
meant the
edits.
final version.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, if we have any edits, we'll make some more Pflugerville photos if we can, and then we'll put it online as a PDF.
Okay.
Yeah. And we might be able to print some and have some at some of our facilities as well.
I do agree with Carol in that the more actual photos of Pflugerville, actual photos of
Sure.
people,
Yeah,
it's a lot more identifiable.
I think we all agree on that. If
Yeah.
I wish I had a professional photographer snapping photos at all of our events. That's something that maybe we should consider in the future, just for
Could
marketing
reach
reasons
out
and
to,
Facebook and everything else.
Jeff Cohen,
Okay.
who lives in Old Town. Generally, he likes to take pictures through his telescope of stars, and they're great. But he has also documented any number of events in
Cool.
Pflugerville, so I can reach out to him and just see if he has any.
Yep.
Would be willing to.
We would not discriminate as to who we got these
Share.
photos from.
He's an excellent photographer.
Yeah.
I see him.
What
all
yeah,
over
what are
the
the
place.
criteria for the photos, just in case people are asking their friends how many, I mean, high quality.
Yeah, these are, I mean, his are, that, he's a photographer. so
Yeah, no,
He's not,
no, it's
he's
yeah.
not using his, Google Pixel to.
No,
Yeah, I think the only issue is like, and I'm kind of wondering about that too, is just, representing your community, whether or not people generally approve to have their likeness being printed in public, in a publication of that. So I would just, consider those aspects.
We-
And I realize you have to ask permission of the
Yeah.
people in the photograph.
I know our
But
communications
most
team.
people are happy to.
Sorry. I know our communication team put some signage up at all of our events that states photos taken can be used for marketing and
Right.
reasons like that, so,
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure we
Yeah.
cross all of our Ts.
yep.
Is there anything about like the parkland dedication fee?
There is,
Okay.
yeah. It is not what y'all were wanting, and
Okay.
it's not what I thought we'd get at first, but I now know why. So they did some research on area cities, they put that in the plan, and they did some research with gold medal cities. So anyone in our industry, including my staff, knows that the best standard that you're held to is the gold medal. There's a state gold medal, and we've won the state gold medal previously, and I feel like the state gold medal is close within our grasping it, to be quite honest. But the national gold medal is a super competitive award that not a lot of cities get. So Round Rock has gotten it. I think New Braunfels is up for it this year. Grand Prairie, Capel. There was a couple in the state of Texas that have done it previously, but it's a super competitive award, and it's the best of the best. And Barry Dunn did some benchmarking with areas and then some gold medal cities. So we have now the feedback that we need to lean into it. But the state of Texas doesn't allow you to just escalate impact fees. So I can't just say every year we're going to up it 8%. Now I can come back every year and say we did some research and we want to up it 8%, but I can't have something that just automatically sets this rate into perpetuity, which is kind of what we were wanting. And so they can't tell you, Shane, it shouldn't be $46,000 an acre. It should be 56 this year, 57 next year, 58 next year, because you're not allowed to do that. You have to go and come back every year for those escalations. So we have all the feedback we need to work with these guys over the next 5 years, every year, to go back and say, let's re-hit some benchmarking. We raised it to 57,000, well, now we want to go to 60 or whatever. What does that look like? But we couldn't put something in there that just said, it starts out this high and every single year it just goes this high. We have the ability to go to council every single year and ask for that ordinance change. But we don't have the ability to just create an escalator within a plan document that the public never approves, that council never approves, that it just continues to escalate. So, because I thought that might be a question coming over from here as well, but you're not allowed to ask questions, sir. You're in the gallery right now. But yes and no. We have all the information we need to know we're low, and to use those stats as the reason that we went out this year and did an evaluation, and we can continue to build off that every single year. But there's not going to be an adoption of this, and it just automatically changes to a number, and then every year it changes to another number.
So you'll be doing an internal tickler,
Yep.
like,
Maybe it's every year, maybe it's every 2 years, but what's great is, before we had this master plan, it was our staff that would have had to have gone to council, and council probably would have been supportive of it, but at some point, it's just a staff making a recommendation based off best practices that they were able to source. Now we have an industry professional, a consultant, saying this is what we've discovered, not just from benchmarking the area, but from the best of the best in the country. And this is the number you need to be looking at. And if you have an aspiration to be the best in the country, this is the number you need to be considering in the future. And all that's much more palatable for a citizen committee, a council, if it's coming from a consultant and it's done in real-time research. So yes, we'll ultimately make some improvements. No, we don't have a number right now that just says, as soon as y'all adopt this, it's moving to blank.
Interesting.
Fair?
Yeah, well said. Don't rest on your laurels. Keep it present.
That's right.
I like the tickler because that's the biggest risk with it is, the best advice we had was you have to keep checking it. And what happens is if it's not in the document to keep checking it, if you have any kind of turnover
Sure.
at any level,
Right.
or at the
Yeah.
wrong levels rather.
And we haven't done it in a long time. And every director in the city's a service, a service matter expert in this area, right? So I could go to council every single year and say, this is my best recommendation. But it puts you on an easy ground at times, because someone that's really cynical could say, but did you look at this city, or did you look at this city? But now we have someone doing it on our behalf and benchmarking and pulling stuff that then we can say, no, we're working with the firm, this is what we're pulling up. It's not just me saying, I think we need to do this, and these are the groups I looked at. So it just makes it a cleaner, smoother experience, I think, all around. So, any other questions about anything?
No, just a round of applause for
Thank
it
you.
being so
Thank
good.
you. Gosh.
If they want to do a motion.
Yep, we do. This is discuss and consider.
Yep.
So do we have a motion? Someone who would like to make a motion?
I will motion to approve the master plan and magazine, yes, however that needs to be worded.
Yeah, we're just motioning an action to recommend the master plan to the planning and
Planning and
zoning.
Planning and
for approval.
zoning,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Second.
Second, Carol. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Good job, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, 5B is discuss and consider items on the future Parks and Recreation Commission meeting agendas. Do we have anything people would like to put on a future agenda?
I don't know if it needs to be on a new agenda. I did write to Shane and ask him what city regulations were for new developments that have lots of dead trees, about
Yeah.
replacing them.
I
Is
can't
that
speak
in
about it
it?
now, so I'll
Is
have to
that-
put it on a new agenda.
Okay, great. So
Yep.
that should be on the agenda then.
All right, anybody else? Any other topics? All right. So it looks like 6A is going into Tree Care Advisory Board.
Yeah, that's correct. So this is one of our quarterly meetings. Dave, come on over, buddy. I might need all four of them. It's fine. So this is one of our quarterly Tree Care Advisory Board meetings, and this is Dave, our new forester.
How's it
Some of y'all
going?
met him,
Dave?
some of y'all haven't. Dave previously worked for the city of Allen. He was a tree layer for the forestry group. Worked at Davy Tree, which is a tree consulting company as well. Previously served in the U.S. Army, has 4 boys and a wife. I got those mixed up, didn't I?
Better than
I think,
four
yeah,
wives
one
and a
leads,
boy.
yeah, one leads to the other, right?
Yeah.
He's come here from Allen, been here for 3 months.
A little over 3 now.
Yeah.
I just got my 90-day survey.
Look at that, you're good to go. Awesome. We're lucky to have him. He will be leading, we'll lead together this one. I know y'all get tired of hearing me. So your quarterly meetings will ultimately be led by Dave moving forward. So round of applause for sure. And he's going to help me with some stuff here. So first of all, for those that don't know, Dave got here and pretty quickly was like, man, that is a big old pecan tree. And obviously Dave has contacts in the Texas Forestry Service and Texas Wildlife, and reached out to one of them and said that we needed to measure it. Measured it, and they thought at one time it might be the second largest tree in the county, and turned out it was actually the largest. You give any feedback on that?
So
Just what I said?
yeah, so we looked at the. So this is Allison with the Texas A&M Forest Service. She's our contact here. So when, there's actually one of these in the video. If y'all watched it, I'm looking over her shoulder at her phone. She's had her calculator out. She's shooting the index, and I got a smile on my face, but inside I was crushed because I saw the number and I was like, we were just a hair lower than the other one in Travis County. But I convinced her to go look at it because the picture they had was, it didn't look like it was in good condition. It was like 7 years old. It was a ridiculously old picture. She went by to look at it and it no longer existed, so
Oh,
we are now.
that
the
made it
number-
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they've seen. They wanted to make sure that we know that there could potentially be larger ones in Travis County on a ranch somewhere.
They're not allowed to say that.
But
We're the largest.
this is the
traffic.
largest one they've seen in Travis County.
That's right.
That's awesome.
And you're going to work on some sort of campaign where maybe we potentially name this
That's the goal.
Big Shady or whatever we're going to call it.
I've been calling it Gilly.
Okay.
Not for
Oh, I
very
like
long,
it.
but I do really think the idea of
Yeah, it's
having a
Gilliam
naming
and-
contest
Yeah.
for Pflugerville citizens would be
I think
pretty
there's
cool.
some sort of naming
That's cute.
things that the council's working on. Just got to make sure we follow those rules. But yeah, I think a public campaign where we name it. I've been calling it Big Shady.
So, what is it? Tree mixed tree face?
Yeah. Just need to make sure it doesn't go to.
We'll probably present the public with options to choose from.
Another thing that y'all are obviously tasked with, and something that Dave is going to oversee, is the Tree City USA. Tree City USA is founded by the Arbor Day Foundation in 1976. It's 4 steps for Tree City USA. You got to maintain a tree board. We're rocking that one, obviously, as we speak. Have a community ordinance, which we do. Spend $2 per capita on forestry, and host an Arbor Day celebration, which we do every year. I think this is the 16th year in a row that we're Tree City USA, and if we get the application in, it'll be our 70th year. So, one of the things that we lean heavily into y'all about is the Arbor Day celebration, and y'all be working with Dave, and I think Dave's got some ideas, and that might be something we talk about next.
All right. So as far as location, Heritage Park, behind the pool. I'm new to the area. Some of y'all that have been here a little bit longer. I suppose the city tried starting a fruit orchard behind there. It wasn't very successful. We're gonna try something very similar called a food forest. City of Boston has one that's completely 100% volunteer led. They had a lot of hurdles they had to jump through to try to get the city to approve it. It's gonna work really cool here because we are the city, so we can stamp that. Yeah, I went to help them out on Saturday at the Festival Beach Food Forest that they have right there off the river. It is it's pretty and remarkable. We're not going to be able to do that all of that on Arbor Day, but we definitely want to try to get a good start, and then hopefully we get more of a volunteer base, and then we can maybe not 100% hand off maintenance to them, but try to get people to kind of work it up and build it into something close to what they have at Festival Beach. So
Cool.
Did you say the date? Was that the first Friday in November?
so yeah,
Or
the
first
official-
Saturday? Are we
First
doing
Saturday is
Friday?
when we're going to
do it
celebrate.
Saturday. Okay,
So
For Saturday.
people are just more available Saturday.
that's right. And then tree plantings, and I think you met with the subcommittee on that. Y'all have anything y'all want to discuss today?
Well, we contacted 21 schools. We've heard back from 7 so far. So I think we contacted them the week before school started, so I think we'll probably give them another week before we send out a second email. But yeah, hopefully we get a lot of participation, so we'll see.
Or do y'all have any type of, I guess you're needing, do you have an idea of when you'd want to plan again?
What did
We
we
did
talk
it in
about?
November last year.
Junior was
Yeah,
saying
talked about
the
that.
week after Arbor Day.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
planning just, instead of giving them a choice, just being like, hey, we're coming out this
Yeah.
week, and then they can do
Yeah,
it like
We
all,
said the 6th through the
Yeah.
11th.
Are y'all gonna lean heavily into juniors guys doing some planting or?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, we weren't gonna really give them an option. However, Dave had an awesome idea of adopt a tree, so he was saying we're gonna give them the opportunity as well, like if they want, they can adopt a tree, and then he can go out and he can talk to the school.
Oh,
and-
cool.
Yeah, and do like a whole little education program, just dependent on the age of the kids, which is really awesome, so,
That'd be great.
yeah.
So we have 7 guaranteed already, it sounds like? 7 confirmed?
Only for the plantings, we haven't had any for the adopt a tree yet.
Right.
We actually have 6 for the plantings, 1 said no.
No, gotcha.
But they want them next year. So yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully we have 20 in all.
Did y'all reach out to Hidden Lake Elementary?
To which one?
Hidden Lake?
Is that what you're?
No,
They're
because
not
they're not,
They're
in
not
the
in
city.
Okay.
Oh, I thought they were just inside the.
No,
I know the neighborhood's in the ETJ.
no, they're
We'll
in
take
that.
all the supplies to the edge of the city.
There you go. You come get your own stuff.
It's in the city? The
The school.
The school.
English school's in the city, so we can do that.
Okay, so Hidden Lake?
Yeah.
Okay, well, 22 schools then.
Okay.
Right.
Look at
We will
that.
contact them.
Gives you a reason to go on that one. Bearish your kids.
So one thing we haven't brought up and, is that we're doing it with the public school, or did we just say just the ISD?
Oh, you mean versus like one of the charter schools? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't
Because
have
they are
any.
public funds as well.
They are public funds if they're within the city limits. They still raise our tree canopy if they make it, so I
Yeah,
don't have
I
any
mean,
problems with that.
yeah. But we can discuss that later,
Yeah.
because there's some.
Oh,
So you just need a list of.
I didn't know the name of that
They're
school.
only-
It's just open this year.
Yeah, I know. I don't know of any reason that we wouldn't do the charter school.
No,
that's
just
an
because of-
ISD.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think anybody with dirt that wants a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go,
So,
for sure. Okay, is there any other questions for the subcommittee or Dave on this?
We talked about also doing some plans on the nonprofits. We haven't really gone forward with that yet, but hopefully that'll be another
At
thing.
nonprofit sites or going through a nonprofit?
At nonprofit sites, potentially. But it's just something we kind of, ideas we were throwing around.
Sure.
So,
And we normally get some, we haven't gotten them yet, but we've been lucky the last couple of years that we end up getting some saplings from places. People donate that, so maybe we can work that to the Arbor Day celebration. Any other questions from the committee or for the committee?
All right.
That is it.
you do. dismissed.
You are.
So
Good
one,
job.
2,
Do we need to
3,
see if,
and then Hidden
um,
Lakes. We have
if
to
there are
forward it to contact. Okay.
any items we want to place on the next tree care?
Yeah, let's use that, let's use the discuss and consider back here. If you had tree care items for discuss and consider, we can do that here.
Okay. Does anybody have anything related to tree care advisory that they would like to bring up on a future?
So this won't
agenda?
be for our next meeting, this will be for our next tree care advisory meeting, so a
Right.
quarter away. Now, if you have something you'd like to do more timely, we can do that in just our next real agenda, but if you have something tree care related and it can wait,
That was the one but I wanted
you wanna know before, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right. All right, item 7, adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second and a third. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. It is 8:46.